Hey, what's going on? Flawless is Out of Creations. Will here, coming to you guys with another video. This video today is going to be hopefully pretty informative. This is going to be as a rebuttal, or I guess you could say add-on video to Leviathan Snakes. Stephen and Courtney, awesome people. We've already actually spoke with them via text and cleared everything through them. Let them know that we were actually going to be talking on the topic. They did a video on leveraging ball python projects to maximize. Very, very informative video. Go over to their channel, subscribe, follow what they have going on, and check out that video. Very informative. There's a few topics, very, very few, that maybe we can't speak for them. It was a well thought out video. I think if it was a little longer, they would have probably hit on some of the topics that we're gonna probably add on to what they were talking about. But it involves the industry, it involves business, it involves new breeders, how to start, all the topics that we kind of talk about here at Flawless. And like I said, we want to make this video almost in conjunction with their video. It's not a us versus them. It'll never be a us versus anyone. It's always going to be you versus yourself. They're working in different projects. We're working in different projects, but we're both, for the most part, new breeders that are trying to shed light on the reality of breeding, the reality of breeding in a trying time as far as with the market. And like I said, we're friends is what I'm trying to put out there. This is not a us versus them, just to clear the air for all the viewers. It's already clear for us, Leviathan and us. So speaking on that, go watch their video first, come back here and check out this video. Okay, so we want to talk on what wasn't in their video first, because we think it influences everything that they're talking about, which is infrastructure. Infrastructure means a few different things, or covers a few different areas. You can be speaking about infrastructure when it comes to budget, or let's say before you get to that, your infrastructure on how you're going to build your budget. It matters, because if you set aside a set amount budget, as a startup business, it can never really be set in stone. So even if it's 5 grand, 10 grand, if you set aside that's the budget for the business, there's still gonna be some, after you spend that money on the business startup, you're gonna have to put more money into it. So you wanna make sure you build the infrastructure where, let's say you have $5,000, $10,000 as far as in funds set to the side for your business startup. You may also be able to, save for family, for whatever you may need. Let's say $2,000 additional dollars a month, or whatever it may be. But out of your savings, you allocate 500 of that to go toward your business. So you're taking 500 every month over the course of, let's say 10 months, that's 5,000. The full year is 6 grand. I mean, that's not something to really turn your nose up if you're able to literally put 6 grand into your business every year. And that's a rolling budget increase. So that matters. So that's part of the infrastructure on the budget side. Infrastructure on the snake side as well, as far as housing your snakes, rodents and everything. We can go down that rabbit hole. But let's talk more about the ceiling of your keeping. Let's say 2 full racks, 2 10-level racks, your ceiling is your ceiling. So you have 80 tubs for breeders. That's not saying that, that's where you're gonna jump in the game at. I'm just saying over the course of your keeping, whether it's space restrictions, whether you keep it in an extra bedroom, whether you keep it in your garage, your basement, whatever it may be, or let's say that's the size you want to legitimately keep your collection at because you find it to be extremely manageable. Well, that's part of your infrastructure. So 80 tubs. That's very important because Leviathan and us here at Flawless, you have long-term goals. So there's gonna be, that's the other topic we wanna talk about. Your short-term goals, obviously you wanna be profitable. Obviously you wanna create holdbacks. Obviously you wanna make money. And then long-term goal, you wanna be a thriving business, self-sufficient, self-sustainable, and making game-changing combinations that influence the market. So that's very important. Now, where we differ a little bit in opinions or views is they mentioned, or I may be interpreting it slightly wrong, you want to get a solid male for your project, not your 5,000-6,000 whatever, your high dollar male right away. You want to get your females, grow them out, get a good solid male for your project. Not necessarily middle ground, but you want it to be able to work your project, whether it's a visual that's het for whatever. I know they're working sunset, clowns, amazing project, but you want to work something into your project. I agree with that to a certain extent, but my vision was a little different. So where they made the example of 1.4 to start off with, I believe it was their Sunset Clown project. It was just an example. We will probably go something like 1.2. Reason we will go 1.2 is because that's where we differ. I think that you should go out and get your high dollar male. Okay, I think you should go get your high dollar male. I think that you should get your high dollar females right away. So obviously if you're doing 1.4, spreading your funds across 1.4, you can only afford a certain dollar amount of snakes. But if you lower the amount of snakes that you're getting right out the gate, you can afford a little bit higher valued of snakes who will put you into different projects in different directions, advance you forward just a little bit more. You don't have the quantity, but you have the quality. You still have the quality with the way that they're doing it as well. So to visualize it for you guys, it's actually quite interesting because we came up with this plan, Audrey and myself sitting down at the table, bouncing, concepts off of each other. And before we started Flawless is Out of Creations, and we came up with it and we just started running with the ball. And then we still been running with the ball on the same concepts now. But we heard actually Bob Vu talking about it, and it kind of put it really into perspective for us. Because he actually just said pretty much our entire game plan across several different projects. So picture this, you buy high dollar male in a project that you want to be in. When you get that male, let's say you do only have those 2 females, that's fine. You grow them out, you pick up a few breeder females a year down the road that's still in that project, and you breed your high dollar male to those while you now have those 2 females still growing out and not ready yet. So let's say those 3 breeders that are just like single gene pied or clown, you create some incredible combos, double head, monsoon clown, double head monsoon pied, whatever it may be. Now you create yourself not super complex, but you're still pushing your own projects forward, but you create some rather simple holdbacks that hold the genes that you're working with for 2 years from that point. So now it's like hitting ground zero again, holding back a bunch of females to move forward in the years to come. Regardless, you bred that male at 1 year, you wait another year, now you're gonna finally be able to breed that male to your females that you purchase. At the same time, you're hitting the 2 year mark and owning that male. Now, when you breed that male, let's say to those 2 females that you purchase, you're also going to be breeding them to the 3 females that you purchased when he was 1 year old. So you have a nice collection already put together for that one particular project. But listening to Bob put it, he was really more on point in explaining it. It's like he was in my head than I probably am right now. So I'm gonna do the best job possible. So that male you have is 2 years old. Those 2 females you have are 2 years old. And then you have probably those breeder females that you bought at year 1. Now all of them are producing, clutches for you. At that very point, not only do you have 1 year old, holdbacks from the 1-year-old male breeding to those breeder females. Now you have like double hets and everything, females in your tubs growing them out. You still have those 2 high dollar females that's ready to breed, breeding and laying clutches for you. This is at year 2. Now you're having probably 5 clutches or so. You still have that high dollar male where, yes, he has decreased in value as far as purchase price, but he's producing for you. At that point, 2 years in, we'll be already in the market looking to purchase another male. A male with more codoms in it, a male that's furthermore advanced than the male we already have, taking us in a direction that maybe we've adjusted our business plan to go in as far as with those genes, but we will be buying forward. Some people would automatically turn around and sell their male that they've previously bought, but we probably wouldn't yet, because that's a part of that sealing project of having so many tubs. You want to also make sure that you got backup males. Make sure you have backup males. So in that sense, you're creating a situation where you have a backup male, but dollar amounts typically scare people. So if you have $5,000, $6,000 male as a baby, and let's say 2 years in, that male may be $1,000. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea at that time, though, to keep him as a proven backup male, depending on your male layout situation that you have. But at that 2-year-old mark, you're also looking to, like I said before, purchase another male, another $4,000 or $5,000 male. And if you ask yourself, well, man, I'm still dumping money. Yeah, you are. There's really no way to get away from that. The only way to avoid that is produce income. That's the whole importance of why you wanted to pick up those breeder females at year 1, because not only do they produce you holdbacks to keep for your collection, they also produce income for your collection and the program that you're in. So you're not necessarily creating irrelevant snakes for your own projects. Everything's around what you're working with, and you're selling the byproducts of what you don't necessarily need, but other people need and want what you're producing. So that's pretty much a summary or an elaboration of what Bob explained. Buy a male, high dollar male, pushing the industry forward. He needs to pay his rent, for lack of a better expression, within 2 years. So if he doesn't breed for you year 1, it's okay. But by year 2, he needs to be breeding. Most of these males are breeding year 1, but he needs to be breeding by year 2. 2 years in, he should be paying his rent. Especially these one-off males. Anything that's changing the game and pushing the industry forward, and they got recessives in it, jump on it, guys. You really have nothing to lose, okay? But at the same time, you're going to be looking to reinvest and expand on your budget, and you're gonna have unexpected purchases. I'm sure Audra will tell you guys all about it. And when I say we binge watch a lot of Leviathan Snakes videos, Courtney tells us about some of the purchases where Steven's like, we need this. I'm that same way. So we've kind of been down that journey, both of us, as far as breeders. But getting back on topic, the reason that needs to be a part of your infrastructure, because when you buy that high dollar, any high dollar female, it's high dollar for that time period. You may not be breeding or get to breed that female for 2 years on the short side of things. It may take 3 years. A lot of people are under the concept that you shouldn't do that, because at 2 years old, that female, if you was to buy her as a baby, you'll probably get her for 30% of what you paid for that female. And that's accurate. But what they don't see is, even though that's 30%, if you were selling, you're not selling her. So if you were selling that breeder female and not trying to maybe be forced out the market because you're closing doors and shutting down, that female, you'll get every dollar you spent out of that female, because she's ready to breed. You may not get the rodents you put into her, but she's ready to breed, ready to rock and roll, ready to be paired to whoever's male is already ready. I know because we've done it when we purchase, you know, a lot bigger of a female that's pretty much ready to roll. You're going to pay substantially more money if that's exactly what your customer is looking for. So you want to kind of try to avoid that by buying them young and growing them out. So you get the benefits of having those advanced gene snakes ready to breed in your collection, ready to rock and roll, even if it's 2 years. The reason you want to buy even pretty much high dollar male and high dollar females at the same time, because at that year point, yes, your male will be ready, your females won't be ready. They're gonna need more time, but guess what? You had a year to save, you had a year to reinvest, move things around, and guess what? Now, not only do you have females that's halfway ready to roll, now you can get into looking around and making yourself open and available to certain things that's happening in the market, like what happened with us. You had your budget set, you didn't blow your whole budget, but you got exactly what you needed. You were patient, you gotta be patient, and you were able to come across a super insane combo of, let's say for instance, hypo, you know, or you got a stranger clown het hypo, or something else that's a visual and het. They're trying to get you into that quad recessive or the triple recessive, and you want to bring that into your project, and your budget allows for you to do so. Okay, not only that, we plan to buy forward on a lot of our males. Yes, we hope to hit perfect odds, you know, those 1 in 64 odds. You know, we will love to hit those odds, but then you also got to hope that it's going to be a male or a female, whatever you need when you do hit those odds. It's a lot of hoping. It's a lot of hoping in this game. Unfortunately though, it doesn't happen that way all the time. We've heard so many other breeders, from Bob Vu, from Ozzy, from Justin. It just happened with Justin where he just made I believe it was an ultra male male available, because he grew him out to 1,500 grams thinking it was a female. Mistakes happen, and it was a male, so it wasn't what he needed. So it happens to everyone. But in those combos or whatever, you're going to advance your project. So in planning to advance your project, you take your male. It's going to basically produce the building blocks of a very unique program. What I mean by unique, you're not in the trenches, you're not creating, you know, lower end snakes, but it's pushing the industry forward. Therefore, a lot of the stuff that you miss on and don't hit, you'll get a substantial amount of return on your investment on. Think of this. Let's leave those scenarios alone for a minute, and we're gonna come to a pretty good close. Imagine you buy a $5,000 male. You turn around, you buy two $5,000 females. You are $15,000 invested into them 3 snakes. 1 year down the road, let's say you spend $3,000 total on 3 females. Total, not 3,000 each. So 1,000. All right, and your male, your $5,000 male is now breeding. Okay, he breeds to those 3 females. Let's say they all have 4 babies, 4 eggs. I like working worst case scenario, because if somebody slugs out or doesn't go for you, the normal average is 6 eggs per female. So let's say all of them go, but they only have 4 eggs. You're still at only 12 eggs. And out of those 12 babies, let's say half of them are females, okay? And they're double het females, whatever your recessive was from your $5,000 male. You now have essentially 6 holdback girls that you're gonna be growing out, that's keepers, that's part of your collection. You also have 6 males that you are gonna be able to make available into the market. Let's say those males with whatever combos is in them, that's also double het pie, whatever those females were that were visual, and het your male, whatever your male recessive was, plus whatever codoms are mixed and sprinkled in there. Let's say those males at 1 year into buying that specific males are not valued at $5,000, because they wouldn't be. But let's say those males are valued at $1,000, okay? You sell those males on the low side, $1,000, 6 So you're at $6,000 in return already. Now that's all you make off of it. 6 grand coming in. So you're at 15 in year one, $15,000 spent year one, $3,000 spent year two. You're at $18,000. You're at $6,000 in returned income. Okay, so that brings your expense down to 12 grand. You also have 6 keepers that are basically essentially free that you didn't have to spend money on. Now you follow that rule all the way into year two. Year two, you have your 2 $5,000 females breeding. You have your 3 $1,000 females breeding. You have 5 females breeding, 1 male. Work those same odds, only 4 eggs, just in case somebody slugs out or doesn't go for you. You still 5 females times 4 eggs. You're at 20 babies. So 20 babies, let's say you hold back 10. For just sake of this example, you got 10 females and you hold back every single female, and you're left with 10 males that you're forced to sell and push out. And like I said before, we're only going to use one of the $5,000 females babies because her babies will be valued for more. So let's say 2 of those males are from one of your $5,000 females, and your return on that male is, let's say those 2 males are two grand each. So you have 4 grand off of just 2 of the 10 babies. All right, 8 babies are males from your previous pairing, repeat from the year prior. And instead of you getting $1 grand a male, let's say you get $600. Let's say round it up, $500 a male. So $500 a male, 8 males, you're at 4 grand. So you're at 4 grand plus your 4 grand from your other 2 males. You're at 8 grand return. So your 8 grand return in year 2 brings your expense down from your initial 12,000 that was left over down to an initial $4,000 overall spent. So you're working your way back into the black basically. So think about it. You're in the red still, essentially $4,000, negative $4,000, but you still have all of your investment snakes that you purchased. You still have your 6 holdbacks from year 1, and you have 10 holdbacks from year 2. So you essentially have 16 additional snakes that's going to work your projects and move your projects forward. 16 additional on top of your foundation that you bought from year 1 and 2, and you're still negative 4,000 in the red. That's fine if you don't see the trend every year you're moving forward. But at that point, you're going to go more in the red because you're also going to take some of that funds and go and get another male. But you going and getting another male is not going to set you back the initial $15,000. That's the whole point. It's, if you think about the ball python industry and you really need to simplify things down, number one, Steven is extremely smart. I actually had a conversation with him in Daytona. He is extremely brilliant, and he sounds and like he knows his business. Watching all his videos, he actually gives me quite a few light bulb moments. But that being said, I like to dumb things down rather simple. And if you need that simple expression, play in the high dollar value snakes, but not just the high dollar value. Make sure that it's just not a price tag on the snakes. Make sure you do your research and the gene combos match up with the price. You want to make sure that you're not paying monsoon price for Joe Blow incomplete dominant gene. I don't want to throw out pastel because I'll get some hate on it, because we hate on pastel a lot. I know we do. But Joe Blow incomplete dominant gene will be easily to replicate, easily to produce, which means the price is going to drop significant and fast. So use this rule of thumb in this industry. In becoming a breeder, if you want it to be just super dumbed down, the way it works is you take 3 steps forward, you take 1 step back, or sometimes 2 steps back. You take 3 steps forward, you take 1 to 2 steps back. You take 3 steps forward, you take 1 to 2 steps back. That's the name of the game. At the end of the day, you keep doing that, you'll find yourself from 3 steps to 2 to 5 to 3 to 7. That's how it works. All right. Make sure you're taking less steps back than you're taking forward. So that's very important. At the same time, you're not occupying a lot of unnecessary tub space with mediocre animals. Just because you have a powerhouse male, you may get some of those recessive genes trickled in, but you want to have incomplete codoms in the mix as well. It's very, very important to put that in the building stages and not try to add it at the end. You could be very disappointed when it comes to that. So really, really quick, you're going to want to buy your male, high dollar male, buy your high dollar females. Yes, there's only 3 tub space that you're working with, but 5-6 years in the future, you're going to fill up those racks relatively quickly. You're going to have tons of holdbacks. You're going to create stuff that you can't buy. Not because you don't have the money, but because it's not available. That's the reason you want to jump kind of out the water and go get that big high dollar male. Because even when you grab him, you can go, like I said, year in, go out there and get you, and I don't know what your project may be, but you can go get a hypo clown female and, not necessarily break the bank on it. You have other things you should anticipate happening in this industry. It's very frugal because a lot of people don't take it as a business. But you need to use that as your advantage. So that means sitting, being very, very patient, getting everything that you need, most of the stuff that you want, and just being patient. You may sit and have a budget that's accumulating some funds. It doesn't mean buy until you need to. You see someone that jumps out. We purchased 2 collections. We needed them. We needed them because did we need every snake in the collection? No, we didn't. But when things fall into your lap where it's like, oh, okay, well, this person has a blackhead trick clown female, 1,000 grams, and let's say the dollar amount on this female is $2,000. Okay, and they contact you, or you see it and you contact them one way or the other, and they have, let's say, a smaller collection, 10 snakes, and the value of that female. That's a project that you're working in. They also have a double head clown pod female, normal. They have a pod female that's het clown. They have several different other snakes. Let's say 30% of them are really, really low end, and the rest of them are middle ground. But that one snake is the snake you need, and the value of that snake is at $2,000, and they're offering you the entire collection for $2,500. You need that. You need that. So we would go snatch that up, take that one snake that's going to be a part of our collection, take care of the other snakes, see if any of them fits into our project, and if they don't, you make them available to whoever else may need them. Your reason you're purchasing it is because it's what you need. You're getting the snake you need at much lower price than what you would have bought it for. You're helping out the person that's getting out of the hobby. And like I said, you have more snakes, which means more mouths to feed, which means more tubs to feed. So you got to look at it from a different perspective. But to get back on topic for Leviathan ball python projects to maximize, that's part of the building process, preparing for the future. So create your holdbacks, buy your big dollar males. They say it's kind of risky buying males or spending money on females versus males. I agree with that to a certain extent, but that's the point of what I was trying to make, that female is still valuable, pretty much worth every dime that you spent on her 2 years, 3 years later, but they're making new combos as babies that's far more advanced and far more gene packed than your female 2 years down the road. The difference is those aren't ready to breed yet. So that's kind of a very key component, and I think it matters that a lot of breeders are not selling those females after you get them up to breeding size, because it just doesn't make any sense at all. And then the fact of genetic testing. Genetic testing is going to be a key component of you building your collection, especially as a smaller breeder. Genetic testing allows for you as a smaller breeder, even with 80 tubs, 80 breeders, males and females, it allows you to be a powerhouse if you deem to become one. Now that all those, when you're breeding head to head or head to normals, you can test all of those for whatever genes you're breeding for and sell what you're not gonna, that are not het or didn't prove out via testing to be het, and still progress along and not have to keep everything, which is very overwhelming. Plus, the plug for that is, we're sponsored by Gray Rider Reptiles. So for your testing needs, you're gonna wanna hit them up. Send your sheds in. They're super fast. The fastest turnaround I've ever seen when shed testing. So definitely hit Charlie up at Gray Rider Reptiles and see what he could do for you guys. Let him know that we sent you. You definitely use that discount code. Matching up high dollar males with your high dollar females, you're gonna make high dollar babies. Most of them are gonna be holdbacks, but for the ones that you sell, you're gonna get a higher return on investment, which is what you're gonna wanna shoot for. And then we deem it kinda, for one of our mentors, like the Aussie method. When you do reach that ceiling of filling up your 80 tubs, because it will happen rather quickly. Anytime you get serious about a business, you really get out there and start looking around. But once you fill up those tubs, it's gonna make things very hard for you. That's why we try our hardest to make sure we have more space than we actually need. Because you never know what's going to fall into your lap, as well as your holdbacks, because as you start growing those out, Ozzy uses the philosophy of, all right, you have this gene pack animal and you either buy or create another female that has one or two more genes of the same female. Guess what? When this one's getting closer to age, it's time to now pass on this gene pack female to the next breeder that may need her, and you replace her. So we don't want to keep expanding, us smaller breeders. You don't want to keep necessarily expanding if you don't have the infrastructure in place to support that. We don't have the infrastructure in place to support 500 snakes, 1,000 snakes. So we want to make sure that we keep things simple and advance at the same time, and keep graduating our breeder females. And that could mean on different levels. That means the single gene pod female is very useful in our, breeding, where we want to produce, double het monsoon pods. But guess what? If we have a double het monsoon pod female that's getting closer to ready to breed, and that was this pod's job was to produce our double hets, then now it's time to move this female on to someone who needs a pod female and replace her with her replacement. It goes like that across all projects. We want to make sure that we're continuing to step our game up with the entire industry, because the industry is going to move faster than even we can. Hopefully that touched some of the stuff. Again, this is not a us versus them. We love Leviathan, Courtney, and Steven and what they're doing. We respect everything that they're doing. They're teaching us a lot. We watch everything they put out. Literally, we love what they got going on and respect them to the fullest. Subscribe here. Check out some of the other stuff we have going on. Check out our Morph Market. Check us out on Instagram. We post pretty much daily. Let us know in the comments what you think of videos like this. And we hope to see you soon. Later.